Alright, we're back to the hammer editor for learning brushes. Now, what you want to do when you get started is go ahead and click the camera tool, drag in the top viewport, which is this upper right viewport, and just click and drag a camera. Then you can click Z while you're over the camera, using the WSAD keys to move forward and back, and using the mouse to look around. Alright, then just hit Z to stop. Alright, so today we'll be covering the block tool, or the brushes. Alright, and what you've got here are a whole bunch of different cool, very, very cool objects. So basically our main goal today is we're going to be making a simple room with some very unique objects in it. So let's go up here in the top viewport and just pretend we're making a floor. So let's try to stay in boundaries like that. Move it over. Alright, and let's just move it down lower than the blue line. Go ahead and hit enter. And now we've got this cool plane, but it's not the right texture. But we'll be texturing that later. So what we want to work on right now is actually building the walls and stuff. So keep using the block tool and go ahead and just make yourself a little room. So now to move around in the grid, you can hold the space bar and click around, then you can move the grid. Alright, go to the selection tool, hold shift, move it to the right in the top viewport, hold shift again, move it to the middle, bring this down like that, duplicate it. There we go. Now we've got this very cool room. And now what we actually want to do is add a spawning point. Now, an easy way to do that is just click Entity tool and find the Info Player Team Spawn. Just click right there. Now if you go down close to it, normally you'll see a what looks like a Half-Life 2 character, or like a guy with a little mustache. Now, it doesn't really matter what it ends up looking like, but it still has the information in it. So what we actually want to do is zoom in here, make sure this is not touching or intersecting the ground, because if it were, we might have some problems when you spawn and you'd be, well, in the ground and you couldn't move at all. Even though it felt like you were up here, you'd probably still be in the ground. So what you always want to do is check and make sure it's not going through the ground. Alright. Let's just select this and go in the top viewport and duplicate him about 2-3 times. Doesn't really matter, just as long as you get some cool spawning areas. Now, I chose 3 because I'm going to demonstrate something. If you click on one of the entities and hit Alt-Enter, you can choose what team, start disabled, pitch, and we'll go over lots of these properties in depth with the tutorial on entities. But for now, we'll just do team red, hit apply, click this, do team any, and then let's do team blue, apply. Now let's go ahead and just X out of this. Now we've got a red and a blue and any color team spawner. Okay, so let's just zoom out here. Let's make some cool objects. But first of all, we want to actually separate our guys so they don't actually fight. You know, they can't just turn and spawn kill the whole time. So we'll make 2 big cylinders, but first we actually need to move this even further away. So it'll be even. Let's just put a couple more dots away. Alright, go to the block tool, go to cylinder. Now, this is how many sides your cylinder is going to be. So if I choose 3, and I put one right here, let's make this a little bit taller than the spawner. Just hit enter. It's going to be a triangle. Okay, and if I put, like, let's say 15, or here, let's just select it here, and I make a 15 right here, can make this taller here, hit enter, it's going to be more like a round object. Okay, so what we actually want to do is select our cylinder, delete it, select the triangle, delete it. We'll want to go to the block tool again, and let's choose a block that will kind of edit. So let's just make kind of a blocking area here, and hit enter. Take the selection tool, shift drag it to the other side, make just a perfect copy so neither side can shoot right over. And we can have this any, just for randomness of spawning, possibly spawning there. So okay, and let's, this floor texture is driving me nuts, so let's go to browse, filter, floor. Let's just choose a quick one like that and click this apply to current texture button. Alright, a lot easier on the eyes, and you can see the blocks and stuff. Alright, duplicate this object, put one on this side, actually make it double the thickness, duplicate it, put it on this side, kind of make it come forward like that. So now you have to go through a kind of maze thingy. Alright, and let's just cut a hole straight through it, just like that. And we don't want it to actually be as tall, that might cause some problems. Let's make our grid smaller by the left bracket, bring it down here, just one, yeah, let's make it a little bit smaller. So let's just change the bracket. Click the left bracket and let's make it about head height. And we'll hit enter. We'll duplicate this twice. Oops. Hold shift. Bring it over. Alright, so what you want to do is just click one, hit negative, click the other, click the carve button, delete one of them. And we can move this over just like this, and let's duplicate this one 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Easy enough. Negative, delete, negative, delete, negative, and delete. Now I've got these cool little holes that you can just shoot through, but are very long, so they're hard to actually shoot through. But you can see like the enemy coming and stuff. Alright, and now we're gonna add some cool little objects that we would use for cover and stuff. So let's make a arc, which we are gonna put straight over these two blocks right here to make a kind of a cool feel to it. Alrighty. Actually, yeah, let's go back to the tool. Let's make a new one. Let's go from left to right. Okay. And let's make sure it's not going over like that. Let's make this 15. Hit enter. We don't want it to do 360 when we want it to do about 180. Preview. We want to make the wall width about It's okay. Okay. Now we've kind of got this problem how it's, well, it is sideways. So what we can just do is select this, come up here, click it once, and we'll get these rotate handles. And we could rotate it that way, but the easiest way is to go to Tools, Transform, Rotate. We need to find the axis and just turn this by 90 degrees. Hit OK. Now we've got this nice cool bridge. And click it one more time. This would be to skew it, but we won't use that right now. Let's just make it a little bit smaller on that side. Kind of got this archway. Alright, and I think let's make it smaller just by a little. Alright, now we've got this archway. Okay, let's go back to the block tool. Let's go to arc and choose cylinder. We can go in the top viewport. Kind of just make cylinder everywhere there is a basically like a little point. You want it to basically have the center near the point. Now we don't want to make them too tall, but we don't want to make them too short, so about right there is good. Hit enter. In fact, here, Control Z. Let's try that again. This time let's turn down the sides to about 8. Hit enter. Use the selection tool. Duplicate this a couple of times. Just like that. Let's choose these two. Bring them to the middle. Let's actually move them out a little bit. Like that. Oops. We're intersecting here. Let's make sure. See if we can make this touch. Alright, that's good. Let's put one right in between, because it seems kind of bare, you know? Alright, now what we can actually do now is select all of these, hold on, and shift drag to the other side, and this time we'll just go back to Tools, Transform, and we'll use the Z-axis, turn it 180 degrees. Now we've got this kind of, you know, wavy kind of a thing. Okay, let's actually move these out. That way there it doesn't look like a pattern, sort of. And that way it'll block more shooting viewage area. So now it's kind of like you have to go in. Alright. I think there should be a way to get up here. So we can click the block tool. So one thing to note is that the max amount that a player can stair step is 18 units. So normally the squares are 16 if you downsize them a little bit, but 18 is the max height you can get for them to stair step. But for Team Fortress 2, you want to actually make them kind of small. So like that right there. So it kind of adds this texture to it. Like they're small stairs and you're big and tough, you know. Alright. Let's see here. Let's try to put these against the edge so we don't have to block too much of our window. Alright. Hit enter. for this one, we'll actually move it over. Duplicate it a couple of times. Just kind of guesstimate. Move this up about right there. Just keep going. Almost there. Now you can make your stairs any style you want them to be. So don't be afraid to make them different from everything else. Alright. Got like a million stairs here. No, I'm just kidding. Let's try to select them all. Whoa. Alright, and let's duplicate it to the other side. Hold Shift. Okay. Do Tools, Transform, 180 in the Z. And now, both sides have stairs. They can jump up here and run over here and try to jump their way over here to their spawn point. Alright. See here, what else should we add? How about some like blocks just coming across each side of the middle of the arc. So let's click this, go to block, easy enough, go to the middle, select this, move it down about there, make it very thin, hit enter, come up here. Now, easiest way to actually get it right, get the positions and stuff right, is to go to the vertex, click it until we only have the vertexes, select this side, move it up to about there. You could even take these, move them down there, and then you could take this side, move it like that. That's fine. Select a different tool, it'll automatically apply that. Except this is kind of overlapping. Now, you don't ever want to have brushes overlap, otherwise that will cause a lot of problems with your rendering and stuff like that. So, what you actually want to do is always try to keep an eye out for your overlapping brushes. And if you ever have big problems and stuff, it's probably because either your brushes are overlapping or your whole map is touching the black space, or also known as the void. Okay, let's go over here, shift drag this to the other side. Let's go to Tools, Transform, Z-axis 180. Alright, there we go. Now let's just move this down. Alright, File, Save. Now this is a crucial part. Always save. Now I'm going to name this CG Tuts. Now, let's turn off caps lock there for a second. CG Tuts Final Map 1. Alright. So, now we've got some cool ramps that you could just jump off and, you know, spawn kill the other person. And let's actually make this thick again. Just how we had it. That way it doesn't look so weird. Alright. So, why don't I just go in close here and make sure they're not touching. Alright, and yeah, so what you want to actually do, since we're about finishing up here, is let's take the characters on each side and duplicate them a couple of times. That way, if you ever want to take this map and play with your friends on your server, you can actually have them be able to spawn. So, I'm going to just do 8 for now, because 8's the usual number. Okay. Select them all. Move them up a little bit. Duplicate them again. Alright. So that concludes for our tutorial for today. Look out for next week's tutorial where we're going to actually texture this, and I'll show you some extra tips and stuff.